This is Grief and Grit, from heartache to high fives with a dash of sass. The podcast that turns the tables on traditional grief talks with a fresh, sassy spin. Listen in for candid conversations about the messy, awkward, and downright hilarious aspects of dealing with loss. Because sometimes the best way to cope is with a little laughter and a lot of grit.
Hi, Simonie.
Hi, Greer. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So this one I'm super excited about too.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I feel like it's just such a great way to start 2025 and to have our special guest.
Yes, I feel really bad because I feel like I've just been diving in and we haven't really caught up at all. I just want to ask, we're heading into winter break. I know that
Yes.
this is airing in January,
Yes.
but tell me again what the kids are doing for winter break because I'm kind of jealous.
I know, me too. I want to be my kids when I come back in another life. So so my twins, for those of you who don't know, I have 4 children. So my twins are 21, just turned 21,
Yeah.
and the one is in London and Poland. She's doing March of the Living,
Amazing.
which is all about the Holocaust and visiting the concentration camps. And I know it's going to be very meaningful.
Mhm. I did something similar, not the same, but in high school. And it was, I mean, it was an incredible experience, like being there and just seeing things. But
Absolutely.
I also met some of my best friends on that trip, and that's actually like the connection of how I met Jared.
That's
So,
amazing.
FYI,
Wow.
for all of those youngsters out there, college trips and things like that, you never know who you're going to meet and who it may lead you to.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So she's having fun, and I know your kids. Today is the last day.
Yeah, today's the last day of school. My daughter said it's the best day of her life because she gets to wear pajamas to school. She got to put slippers in her backpack to wear in the classroom.
Oh,
They get to drink hot chocolate,
oh.
have snacks, and watch The Grinch.
Okay,
So,
so that
this
would,
is a big, big day,
yeah, and that would probably be my favorite day as well. I
right?
could quite happily do that now.
I mean, for sure.
So for all your
We don't need
listeners,
an episode, right? Our special
no.
guest, we're just gonna go hang on the couch and watch a movie.
Yeah, so
I-
for all of you listening, go put on your pajamas, get your slippers out your backpack,
There you go.
get some hot cocoa, and today we're going to be discussing what we all seem to do when it comes January 1st is we all say, well, this year I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go on diet. I'm going to go to the gym or all those resolutions that we have. But we're going to take it a step further today and we're going to talk about setting your intentions for the year because everybody is so different and how your mindset and how the way you think can impact your year ahead. And, so I'm just so excited about that. And we have a wonderful guest today who I will let you introduce, Greer.
Yes. So, thank you, Simonie. My dear friend, Heather Markle, is here. Heather and I met on the widow journey a couple of years ago, and I feel like she became instantly one of my BFFs, and I really don't know what I would do without her. Like if I'm having and she calls it a griefy day, which oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. I text Heather, and Heather reminds me that I need self-care. And she's just a phenomenal human. She is a woman of many talents. She teaches here at a local university. She has a corporate background, and she now has become a certified resilience coach. So Heather is here to talk to us about setting our intention for the new year. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Greer. It's so lovely to be here with you and Simonie. You're podcasters now. This is
We
so
are.
I know, it's
I know.
crazy.
so exciting. Greer, I don't know how many times we've kind of had the conversation that life is so unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And even as you were talking about, this connection you made in high school that eventually helped lead you to Jared, like you just never know where life is going to take you or the friends that you're going to meet along the way.
For sure.
So I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about some things that are fun and engaging and helpful that we can do for the new year. Simony, as you were saying, a lot of us look ahead to the new year and we're like, resolutions, what are the
Mm-hmm.
things I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we set ourselves up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'd really love to talk about today is the concept of an intention word for the year, and really what that looks like. And so, I'll kind of talk about that in abstract, and then I'd love to talk about what does that mean for us as widows, as grievers. I've learned a lot in my resilience journey, and so we really have to meet ourselves and meet other people kind of where they are. So
Absolutely.
it's great to talk about journaling and all of these big, important things to do from a mindfulness perspective. And those are absolutely going to work for some people. But what I think is really wonderful that you guys do on this podcast is you talk about where you are in your journey and what's working for you today. And then you also remind others, who unfortunately have just experienced their loss recently, that
Mm-hmm.
this may not be right for them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, we'll talk about kind of the spectrum of things that you can do related to this activity and how we can get excited about the new year.
Yes. I love it. And you and I have talked about this. I know we talked about it last year, and I was just so excited. And I thought it was such a great way to start the year because I'm type A, at least I used to be pre-widow, and somewhat of a perfectionist. And like obviously I would never achieve my New Year's resolutions. Like
Correct.
I join Weight Watchers and all the things, and it's like, oh, oops. But this is I just this worked for me in such a different way. And I also knew that I could achieve it. So I can't wait for you to dive in,
I
Heather.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And again, it's interesting when we kind of reflect on the pieces that have gotten us to where we are today. I was kind of struggling in my corporate role, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And one of my really close friends is a corporate executive coach, and I had referred her to so many people. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go through her program. So a few years ago, I started her coaching program, and she gave me a lot of great tools around morning routines. She kind of introduced me to the word of the year, and helped me kind of associate colors and songs and different elements with my goals. So all of it kind of led me to this concept. And while again, this is nothing new. This is certainly not anything that I've come up with on my own. It has been something that I have practiced and adapted over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year that I started this was 2022. My word for that year was joyful, and I had a beautiful graphic, and I had some kind of thoughts in mind, and I was really excited to start the year. And then unfortunately, I lost my husband in May of that year.
Right.
So you can imagine that the word joyful was out the window.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I sadly am no stranger to grief. I lost my incredible dad in December of 2013. I lost my lovely mom in February of 2021. So I've been in this space for a while, but it is very different when you lose your person.
Right.
And so thankfully, because that was such a jarring loss, I had built some of these resilient skills and some of these coping mechanisms, hopefully most of them healthy, for getting through grief. And so I've learned to kind of lean on them now more than ever. And so, like I said, 2022, joyful, was long gone. Going into 2023, I thought, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to give this another try. And my word for the year was survival. It was very
Right.
honest. It was very personal.
Right.
It was where I was at in life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great kind of indie rock song called This Year by the Mountain Goats.
Okay.
And the chorus is, I'm going to make it through this year if it kills me. And so that was just one of those songs where when I was having one of those bad days, that was something I could play that just kind of reminded me like, okay, I've gotten through this much. I'm going to be able to go forward. So, that was 2023. This year, with it being 2024, my word of the year has been peaceful.
Right.
And I've actually associated a color with that. So that color for this year has just been green. Green speaks to me. I have a green purse. I'm drawn to things that are green and alive.
And I know you all cannot see Heather, but she's wearing a green sweater.
I'm wearing a green embroidered sweater.
That's right.
Because,
I love it.
yes, because one of the things that Greer and I have started, can I tell them about Shitty Craft Club?
Please, yes.
To keep ourselves out of trouble and to have fun together is we've started a Shitty Craft Club. And not only is Greer an amazing podcaster, but she hopes to embroider and sell sweaters in the future.
Yes.
So there'll be more on that soon, I'm sure.
Let's hope so. Got to find the time.
That's good intention.
Yes.
So yeah, this has been really meaningful for me in 2024. And so do you want me to kind of like dive in and talk about how people can get started?
I would love it. Yeah, let's do it.
So by day I'm a lecturer these days. So happy to kind of walk through this at a high level. I'm also going to share kind of some resources with folks that'll be available on the website. So, no need to take notes today. You can just listen. But really the idea of having an intention word or a word of the year is that it's about choosing something for you to focus on. When we think about a resolution, I think that feels like something we have to do.
Correct.
And
Correct.
framing is so important, right?
I
Like,
agree. And I was thinking that exact thing, that the resolution is it's almost like peer pressure.
yes.
It's
And
negative.
everybody's
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Right.
But I feel like just the little bit that you've spoken about, the intention is we all choose our own. And it's what speaks to us, as you said, at this precise moment. What speaks to us? And I think that makes for a successful year going forward.
Right.
So please carry on.
Absolutely.
And one thing to add, it's also something that's like that we have to change or fix. And it's like we become hyper focused on like that thing that is not, it's just not good. And sometimes it's really hard to fix it. And then when we don't fix it, we're just
feel
setting,
like-
it's that vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It's like how many
and you
years?
feel
Right.
failed and you feel less than.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is holistic, which I just really appreciate and value.
Absolutely. Yes, it's holistic, it's kind. Again, Greer, you and I both say like we need to be kind to ourselves. Especially with what we've gone through. It's not about fixing us. We are who we are.
Yes.
But so when you're ready to think about this, there are kind of three main ways that you can get started. So it all depends on, kind of your learning style. So you can sit down with a blank piece of paper and a pen, and you can just start thinking about the words that are speaking to you. That might work. I've also provided a list. So for people who need a little more help, I've provided a list of words that might resonate personally, professionally, kind of things to consider. And then also, I think that's fun. Again, so many people have been doing this. I'm also sharing a link to a free random word of the year generator. So if
I
you
love
need
that.
the help, The help is here. So it's all about kind of having those resources.
Love it.
Yeah. And it's important to know that there's really no right or wrong way to do this.
Correct.
It's about what works for you. As I said, I kind of started this practice in 2022. I had to walk away from it briefly. I've come back to it. I've built on it. And so these are just some of the things, some of the prompts that I like to think about when I sit down. So as you're sitting down to write, take a few minutes to reflect on the year. I love that you ladies start off the podcast talking about, generally how you're doing, what you're drinking. So kind of, set the stage. Make this one of those moments of self-care. So, think about all of the things that you've accomplished this year. Because I think it's so important, especially for those of us who might have lost our biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Like, we do need to take stock in everything that we've done. And especially for those of us who have lost someone recently, going through, the estate process, going through all the changes. There's just so much that we've checked off the list. And it's just important that we think about that. So you're reflecting on the year. You're also, as you look forward, you're starting to think about, do you have any goals in mind? And if you don't, that's okay. If you do, how might this word align to those goals? Again, for me, thinking about peaceful for this year, what were the changes or the enhancements I wanted to make to my professional life to make things more peaceful? Kind of just thinking about those moments. Then you really want to think about words that inspire action. So, and again, there's a list if you need a little help kind of coming up with those. But what is going to help you achieve as much or as little as you want to achieve in the next year? And then also you want to think about words that evoke emotion. So, again, for many of us, this journey has a lot of ups and downs. So depending on where you are, even if it's today, where you think you want to be next year, what is that emotion that you want to convey to yourself? And then finally, it's important to self-define that word for you. So even using a word like peaceful, or if I go back to my 2023 word of survival, if I were to talk to someone who was grief adjacent and I use the word survival, they may not understand. It may have a negative connotation to them. But those of us that have been through this know that no, it's just more honest. It's just a realistic picture of where we are and what we're dealing with and mentally how we're getting through the day to day. So once you have that word or words, sit with them for a couple of days. Think about how they feel to you, what they mean to you. You may want to explain them to other people. You may not. It may just be a private thing for you.
Wow, that's really helpful.
So that's really just kind of how you get started.
Okay.
And what that looks like.
Okay. Now, because I've been trying to think of my word for a few weeks and I keep like going round and round and round. Like, what if you can narrow it down to like 2 or 3 really good ones? I'm having trouble kind of like picking just one.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely okay. Again, this is about what feels right for you.
Okay.
And then again, if I talk about, what this looks like for our people, for grievers, I would even simplify it. And I would say, how are you feeling now? What do you hope to feel like next year? And again, depending on where you are, you may know, you may not know. And then just make sure you're being honest with yourself.
And I think also, Heather, perhaps, making sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself.
Yes.
As a griever, wherever you are in the journey, whether you're new in the journey, whether you're far gone in the journey, it's important to always know that it's okay not to be okay, first of all, And it's okay, as you said, your word changes. And maybe the word you chose doesn't quite work for you anymore halfway through the year. That's okay, right? That you can
Absolutely.
change it, I th- and I think that's the whole thing with grief is the fluidity of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, there's so many ebbs and flows. And I feel like this is, as you were saying, Greer, you can't quite come up with the word.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's okay. I think you could be feeling more than one, setting more than one intention for the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, it's so I'm joy is like always something that I'm really trying to focus on. Peace is something that I would also love to have. Although with two young kids, is that possible?
I mean, I think you have to look at what kind of peace it is. I think in that case, it's like becoming peaceful
Yes.
about whatever's going on
Yes,
around
that's
you.
what, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I also, and I don't know if this is too, I don't want to say crass, but success is something that I haven't been working for almost 2 years. And I got to go back. Like it's time to make money so that I can continue paying our bills. And my financial planner will kill me if I don't. So, with all of that being said, success is something that I've thought about too. Whether that is, hopefully this podcast continues to help and support others and we can be successful in supporting others through who have gone through a grief journey or are going through one. There are some other ideas I've thought of, but I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling. What do I do, Heather?
And that's okay. Again, you can have multiple words.
Yeah,
You
okay.
really can. And Simonie, I thought the point you made was really beautiful. So it's not like your traditional resolution. It's not about putting that pressure on yourself.
Mhm.
We already have so much pressure on ourselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's about finding something that's meaningful to you.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is, so my song, my theme for 2024 was peaceful.
Okay.
And my song was Way Less Sad by AJR.
Yes, and you and I have talked about
love
AJR.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And can I just throw something out about AJR because you and I have talked about
Uh-huh.
this? So AJR is an incredible band. And the lyrics in a lot of their songs, it just got me thinking like they have to have had lost
Yes.
someone because it felt like it felt like they were talking about grief
They get
in
it.
their songs. They got it.
Yeah.
So I did some Googling after Heather and I were texting about this one night. And they're brothers who actually lost their father.
Oh.
So
yeah.
once I read that, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. So for any of you who are music lovers and kind of want to find some music that might resonate with you, AJR, look them up.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And to your point, Simonie, one of the lyrics from that song is, I'm not happy yet, but I'm way less sad.
Exactly.
And again, for those people who are in our lives that love us, that want the best for us, but can't quite relate,
Mhm.
like that's one of those things where we have to get better about setting boundaries and being honest with them that, I'm getting there, but like we said, it's a journey. So it takes time. So that's why I think I love music. Music's always been an important part of my life. So, I think it's important to apply anything, to stack or tag anything that's meaningful to you onto these words, word or words that work for you for that year. I think
Okay.
it's huge.
Okay. Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think that's something that's tangible.
Yeah.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm even starting to think more about like the word leap, like just like to try new things and kind of
yeah.
push myself a little bit more.
I like that.
So because I feel like it explains like I mean I would like to do a little bit of traveling this year. I haven't been able to do that in forever. And just I don't know, try some new things with the kids, push myself further, even professionally, especially. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's a great
I
word.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I think it's doable. It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
It is. So again, it's very important, I think, especially for us, for our people, to look forward. Now, looking
Right.
forward for us could simply be getting through the day,
Mm-hmm.
or when we're ready, it could be, starting to think about the next year or what things look like. I've kind of made the joke a few times to Greer and others. Before my loss, my life was very different.
Mhm.
When I was doing that coaching program, I put together a 5-year plan, both personally and
Yeah.
professionally.
Right.
And it was great. And
Right.
Scott did one too. And we sat down and we shared it. And, that 5-year plan is out the window.
Right.
And that's okay. That is okay.
Yes. And P.S. worst question when you're
Uh-huh.
interviewing someone is what is your 5 or 10-year plan? Like life, I'm just saying things happen.
Yeah.
So yes,
Perspective.
drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
Exactly.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, I think it is important when we're ready, when we're able to start having healthy thoughts about the future and looking
Mhm.
forward.
Mm.
But there is one thing I wanted to kind of share that could be a fun exercise for us.
Okay.
That's been meaningful for me over the years, as we kind of close out the year. And so traditionally, this is something people like to do, early in January, beginning of the year. It doesn't have to be on a certain day. But can we talk about burn bowls for a minute?
Yeah, let's
I
do it.
love that. I
Excellent.
love it. But yeah,
I have not done one. I'm just saying. So
I have, and it's amazing.
So we may have to do one.
Yeah.
Greer. I thought about bringing stuff over today, but
Okay.
we'll keep it simple for now.
We'll have a wine night or something
Yeah.
and get it done.
That would have been fantastic. So I'll kind of share my story, and then Simonie, I'd love to hear kind of your experiences too.
Mhm.
Again, so much of where we are today are because of the friendships, especially the strong women who have been in our lives and
Mhm.
helped us with things. And I mentioned my friend Miranda, who's been my coach, and I actually picked up this the burn bowl kind of activity or ritual from another good friend who's been doing this every year. And so, you can get as spiritual or as deep with it as you want, or you can just keep it really simple.
Mhm.
So, but the idea behind it is that as we're looking forward, we also want to make sure that we let go of the
Mhm.
things that aren't working for us today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, even though, cultures have been doing this for hundreds of years, it's really just change management. It's
Mhm.
self-care, it's change management. And it's a fun way to, I think, take stock, to say goodbye and to welcome in the new.
Mhm.
So much like, sitting down and writing your intention word, you really just need some paper and something to write with. You don't need much for the burn bowl activity. You also need paper, something to write with, maybe a candle, and then, a bowl. We're all adults that are listening,
Mhm.
something that, hopefully wouldn't do any damage. You want to be
Wouldn't
you want to
set the
be in a
house on
space.
fire.
Exactly. Um, any legal disclaimers can apply here.
There you go.
But thinking about the concept of this, and again, it's a little bit of journaling or micro journaling, and where I want to be careful with journaling and mindfulness again is going through this resilience coaching piece. Some people are ready for it, and some people are so overwhelmed with the day to day.
Mhm.
Correct.
When someone came to me early on, after my loss and said, you need to be journaling, you need to journal every day, you need to capture everything, they weren't wrong,
Mhm.
but it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
So again, it's just thinking about what can I do?
And I
Mhm.
think summing in of that with journaling, because in the very infancy stages of loss,
Mhm.
you really don't want to face your feelings.
No,
Right.
no.
You'd rather just be in that state of numbness.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
journaling brings up all those, it's like, what are you feeling? And put down everything.
It
And
makes it real.
it makes
Right.
it very real.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That, journaling definitely has a place,
Yes.
Mhm.
but it has a time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also, I follow Spilled Milk Mama on Instagram. She's actually local in Atlanta, but she is a fellow widow, and it's interesting because sh she captured everything on video.
Mm.
That was her way of journaling. So for me, when I think of journaling, it's always like writing something in a notebook.
Correct.
But there are different ways of journaling. So even if you're taking a video of yourself and you're talking, or you're videoing your kids or your other family members, just a way to remind, like, to be able to look back.
Yes.
That's the goal, to see how far you've actually
Yes.
come. Like, people tell me how far I've come and how proud of, how proud they are of me, and I'm grateful, but it feels weird to me. Like, I feel like I'm putting one foot in front of the other. And, but when I actually think back to like that first week and that first month after, and I mean, there is so much more peace in my life. And I can't believe that we actually went through that and survived
I
it.
know.
And, I just, yeah.
And I love that because again, it's about chronicling the moment, whatever that looks like,
Correct.
whether it's
Right.
video, whether it's a word or two on the notes app on your phone, whether it's an
Mhm.
actual journal, whatever feels right.
Yeah.
And that's really, Greer, kind of what led me to this desire to get into resilience coaching.
Okay.
Because I'm very lucky that I have a wonderful group of friends that are my family and my support network, and uh, I think they were genuinely shocked that I was able to put one foot in front of the other,
Mm-hmm.
given the losses that I'd been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I've had to help them understand is I do think some of us are born with a little more resilience than
Mhm.
others,
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
but it's absolutely a skill. It is a
Yes.
skill that you can strengthen and sharpen and work on. And that's what I want to help our people do. We've talked a lot about kind of having those griefy moments, coaching people who are in grief.
Mm-hmm.
I love working with people who are ready to rebuild.
Yeah.
And that's a big part about these exercises today.
So a
Which going
question
back,
oh, sorry,
Uh-huh.
go ahead.
so going back to the burning bowl,
Yes.
could you just walk us through that a
Yes.
little bit more?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think that does, that's the next step
Mhm.
to wanting to have that desire to feel better, to make life
Yes.
better, to get to that point where whatever your intentional word is, I want to get there.
Absolutely. And it's such an important practice whether you burn the words or not. But again, just taking that inventory of what's working in your life and what isn't, and letting go of what isn't. So you're sitting down, you've got your paper, you've got your pencil, you've got your bowl, and then you just want to write down words. You want to write down phrases. And when I'm thinking about this for our people, I'm thinking a lot about the secondary losses. You
Yeah.
guys did a whole
Yeah.
episode on that, and
Yeah.
and people who haven't been through it don't quite understand that many of us have secondary losses almost every day.
Right.
So it's very important, I think, and therapeutic for us to be able to capture them, to acknowledge them,
Mm-hmm.
and to let them go.
Correct.
Because holding on to those we know is not healthy, it's not productive.
Mm-hmm.
So you really just want to take a few minutes and just write out all of the things that you've been holding on to, that mental load that kind of wears you down. I'm assuming, ladies, you're both very busy moms. Simonie, I know your children are older, but I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
there's still a time in your
Oh,
day where both of you are going through this mental list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to
100%.
do for myself? What do I have to do for my family? So just kind of going through, writing down the things, like I said, that no longer work for you. And then you're just gonna kind of tear the paper into strips,
Mm-hmm.
cut it into strips. Again, this is that ritual, that tactile experience, and one by one, you're placing those items into the bowl.
Mhm.
And then really, when you get to that moment and you feel like you're done and you're ready, that's where the fire comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So, light a candle, And we know candles bring us comfort. There's something beautiful about fire instinctively. There's something cleansing about it. We think about purification. We think about renewal. We think about transformation. And again, we think about those of us who have experienced significant loss. And again, Greer, like your friends have said, when you think about who you were when you lost Jared and who you are today, that transformation, those changes, those were hard. They were hard lessons, but I know that you're proud of everything that you've kind of accomplished.
Yeah.
So you're letting things go, and you're doing it kind of with love. That's the important thing, is that we're letting go with love. We're acknowledging, and then, when you're ready, if you want to pull the items out one by one, read them one more time and light them on fire, you can do that. If you want to just drop a match in the bowl and watch it all burn, you can do that too. It's your exercise. You can be as emotional, as sappy, or as straightforward as you want. It just signifies that cleansing. And like I said, that welcoming in the new, which I think for widows, for grievers, it's so important that we do that we make that space.
Correct.
And then kind of the last thing I encourage everyone to do, once you've let go, is to take that breath to reflect and to be grateful. So again, this is our journey. There have been so many widow wins for all of us. There have been so many times when we've stumbled, when we've had hardships, and that's just part of it. And that's why we have each other, and that's why we have a community of people. But again, I just think, these two exercises kind of go hand in hand. It's like we said, we don't move on, we move forward.
Right.
And that's really what the intention word is.
Right.
And I think one of the best ways we can move forward is by letting go what's not working for us anymore.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful. Well, Heather, that's really amazing. And I think for me, definitely, one has to keep doing it.
Yes.
As I say, I'm 16, almost 17 years away from it, but I still need to do it. And I still need to set that intention and,
Sure.
do the burning bowl and let go of stuff because it comes back.
Yes.
You let go and it comes back and it kind of clings to you. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Of
And
course.
I know that, for all you listeners out there, I know that this has brought some comfort and help, that you can set your own intention. We can set our own journey and how we want to walk that new journey. It's
Yeah.
up to us to do it. And with so many of the things that you've given us and tools that you've given us today, I feel people will be empowered to be able to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I know that there's a worksheet. We'll post that to the website.
Yes.
It's still in progress. And then we'll also post it online on the socials. And then same to the link with the word of the year generator.
Great.
And Heather, do you have any final thoughts? And I know that you just recently launched a new website yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. No, again, I think, for me, some of the bigger changes in my life, I've been a lot more intentional. So I made the intentional choice to leave corporate America and to go into higher education and kind of pursue my purpose. And, for me, it's been trying to figure out how to give back. And I really want to give back to our community of grievers. Like I said, I can be there in moments of grief. And Greer, you and I have talked through different ways we can do that, and we're still kind of exploring that. But I really want to help people, especially women, rebuild, kind of recapture that resilience. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you've been a widow or you've been through loss. I do believe the practices that I've picked up through this resiliency coaching program will be great for my students. Maybe you're ready to go back to school or tackle a new challenge. There are just a lot of foundational things that seem like common sense that I've learned, but I've learned a lot of tools and tricks and figured out how to adapt them in ways that can work for us. So if anyone's interested, if they'd love to have a conversation, my website is morningcoffeecoaching, .com. And I'd love to just connect and see if there might be a program that could work for you.
And it's morning, MOURN, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
morningcoffeecoaching.com.
Correct.
And we will also link to that on the socials and eventual new website.
Thank you, lady.
But thank you so much, Heather. I feel since you started talking to me about this, it's just gave me a sense of calm as I enter the new year, and something to continue to drive myself forward. Again, it's something that I'm putting my foot in front of the other towards, and it gives me a reason where if something is not fitting, then I need to discard that. So, yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we hope we hope that you guys found this helpful, and definitely reach out to us, reach out to Heather. We're all here to help you, continue to set your intentions for the new year. And we will talk to you soon.
See you in the new year, and wishing you all a good 2025.
Yes, you're here.
Happy New
Take
Year.
care.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year, everyone. Take
Thanks.
care. Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love what you heard, please follow Grief and Grit and share our podcast with your friends and family.